The views and opinions expressed on the following show do not necessarily represent the views or opinions of the Best Station.
This baseball show is brought to you by the International Cricket Council. Join us for a match tonight. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fast Pitch, Game 29. I am your co-host, MC Brown.
I am Eric Lendenberg.
And the Doctor of Baseball here. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing well. Game 29 here, Doc. 14th week of the season.
It is.
And we're racing towards All-Star break and the All-Star game, obviously. So we're going to have a great All-Star edition of the Fast Pitch here.
We are. We even got questions about the All-Star game.
Yeah. As always, we can be reached at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/the Fast Pitch. The Fast Pitch MLB at gmail.com is where you can email any and all feedback. And as always, we are under the umbrella of the great Craig Best, our awesome producer, and all of our shows archived on www.thebeststation.net.
That is
click
correct.
on the sports tab and click right on the Fast Pitch where you'll see all of our shows. We also want to thank the many plugs that myself, you, Colt Hudson, Derek Ross do on the Comicasters, our brothers in podcasting on the Best Station. The very best in music, podcasting, and any and all good stuff.
That
Craig
is correct.
Best.
Craig's got some new music shows coming up, too. You got to check them out.
Very good stuff from Craig. He could be reached Facebook.com/The Best Station, where you can also drop Craig a line and thank him as well for his great ads in between our, thirds of the show here, station breaks, also the great images Craig provides during the show. On the video edition of the Fast Pitch, and our audio ones will be dropping hopefully soon on iTunes. I know we keep saying that, but it's going to happen.
Very soon.
And we will do that. So, Doc, we're going to get straight right into the bullpen.
Yes, we are. Had a lot of feedback this week for the bullpen, but let me go to what we have. First of all, MC, you remember Yasiel Philippe,
yes,
Dodgers fan.
Great listener.
Yeah, Yasiel always listens, and he has some feedback in the past. He's just been quietly listening. But I heard from Yasiel, and his question is, what do you think, Doctor, of the Dodgers now? Still think they should concede, Doctor? Now, you might remember last week I did say, Kershaw got hurt, time to concede. According to Yasiel, and I checked this out, he's correct. They've gained 3 games on the Giants since Kershaw got hurt. Now, Yasiel, I don't know the Giants can be beat this year. I do think it shows tremendous character of the Dodgers that they picked up 3 games since the greatest pitcher of this era was hurt. I also can say he's coming back after the 15-day stint on the DL. I said he was going to be gone 60 days, MC. That was my source in LA told me that.
How many times can you put your foot in your mouth when anything regarding the Dodgers happens? First, you say that the Dodgers are going to finish almost at last place.
Well, let me just say
the
this.
Padres, for Pete's sake.
That's still not over.
Next, you're saying Scott Kazmir is not going to do anything for them, and then you have to eat crow there.
No, I didn't have to eat crow because I motivated him to do better. I'll be getting a team bonus at the end of the year. Let me just say this.
You got in a feud with a listener who thankfully got a truce before you got into big trouble.
I think she was finally committed where she belonged.
She wanted to box you to death. But.
All right, the Dodgers have actually closed the gap, like you said, 3 games. But Brandon McCarthy's back. Rue is back.
Yes, we're going to discuss that in the Fast Pitch.
Kazmir has been steady. He's now 8-3.
That's pretty good, right? Yeah, and you said he was worthless.
Well, like I said, I don't know that he's worth the money he got.
Would any of our listeners like to serve the doctor a crow pie here?
And how about Bud Norris? I said the 3-7 Bud Norris.
What did he do in his first game?
6 innings, 1 hit, no runs.
I think you should just shut up and never say anything about the Dodgers.
Oh, really?
Ever again.
Okay, well, I am the Dodger expert. Anyway.
It doesn't seem that way, though.
Yeah, well,
Yasiel Philippe is calling you out here.
Well, I do a lot of things for the show, so things are more interesting.
I do commend you for reading his thing. You didn't cherry pick this. At least you took that as...
I've done it before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Yasiel, for a great roasting of the doctor, which he deserves, by the way.
Yeah. Now, Dana H. messaged me, texted me. Jake Lamb, the Diamondbacks third baseman. Is he the cleanup hitter they need to surge back into the race in the NL West? And I wanted to know what you think, because I've been saying all year,
He
2
doesn't
years
play
now.
against left-handed pitching.
Well, that's my question, because he's doing a great job. I've seen the Diamondbacks a lot lately. I've covered D-backs games.
He's incredible. He's triples,
incredible.
homers.
Triples, doubles. He's
a
he's
machine.
leading the National League in some extra base, and I'm not sure which one. It might be combined
He's also
extra
on my
base, yes.
fantasy team for a reason. I
He
was on the pulse
should be
of that.
batting cleanup. As we've said all along, Paul Goldschmidt needs a tough cleanup hitter
You did
behind
say
him.
that earlier in the actually you said that right before the season. You said that
Yeah.
that would have been one of the things they're lacking, which is that great cleanup hitter. And I think that's when Peralta went down.
He went
right?
down, and this Jake Lamb right now is the man. He
Yeah,
should be
if
playing every
they
day.
ever
but
play him against a left-hander, I don't know.
what I will say, Dan, as far as surging back into the race, Greinke is hurt. Their pitching staff is a shambles.
Who was on this All-Star edition? Who made the All-Star team for the Diamondbacks?
from the Diamondbacks so far, Paul Goldschmidt.
Paul Goldschmidt. So
Yeah.
Lamb is on the final vote.
Lamb is in the final
Speaking
vote.
of that, and there's a lot of great players though
There
in
is.
there. So.
There is. But Dana, I don't think it's possible for them to surge back. But I do agree. Jake Lamb is the cleanup hitter they need. He should be playing every day against right-handers and left-handers. That's my opinion.
How is he going to learn to hit left-handers if you don't put him in
That's
there?
absolutely
That's
right.
really, I think, my beef too. But obviously, he does struggle against them.
Well, they really struggle when he's not playing third.
Yeah.
So
I mean, but you look at this man, and he pinch hits, he gets a hit.
Yeah.
Anytime you bring him in that game late, he's a clutch hitter. So I agree. You have to kind of probably play him just to let him get those at bats against the tough left-handers.
they're in fourth place, for gosh sakes. Why not just let him get
He's
in there? And
arguably, he's their second best hitter after Goldschmidt.
right now,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
has
mean-
done it all year, and we're almost halfway through.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Dana.
Yes, thank you, Dana. And here is a question from a guy that I met while I was covering a Diamondbacks game, and he said his name was Stu.
Okay.
Why is the fence laid out the way it is at all major league parks, but particularly Chase Field? And what I'm talking about, I talked about this off the air.
Okay.
They have a yellow line at Chase that goes along the outfield wall from 330 down the lines. It's an odd stadium dimension because at the gap in right and left center goes to 413, but then it juts back into 407. And that yellow line goes up and over at the 407 mark. And my response was, it evens it out. If you have ball 413 there, center field, right field, gap, it's going to be the same distance because of that upper line. However, I was taken to task by 5 or 6 fans about that. Well, why is the field designed this way, and why didn't they make it straight across the same dimension?
Well, there was that contest the Diamondbacks had where a kindergartner got to use yellow crayon
Yeah.
to draw the actual lines on the outfield.
That's right,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
And that's precisely what I think
So
happened there.
what I want to say is, and I talked to our producer, Craig, who can explain the reason it's the way it is, but I am not mathematically savvy enough to understand what he meant. So I want to throw this out to some listeners. If you have feedback or...
Let's just take that as you are a dummy.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, I may be a dummy, but I have
Craig,
energy.
thank you for the explanation. I'm sorry the doctor did not record it, so we have no way to explain this unless Craig actually interrupts us right here and does a...
Craig's liable to call at any minute.
He might do a sketchometer while we're talking about this and just show us the geometry.
Sketchometer, is that kind of like a Etch-a-Sketch, which
Yes.
I see you using every day?
Craig will just be drawing on
Yeah,
this.
MC Brown every day
this video.
plans his day on an Etch-a-Sketch because he doesn't have the
I'd
handwriting
love
skill.
to be able to do that. and
Yeah,
just
sure you will.
plan my sleep schedule like that.
Well, you sleep too much.
Yeah,
Anyway,
well,
yeah, that's why I get to the studio here and I have to wait for an hour to get in. Anyway,
get off your
listeners, please, if you have feedback on this, and I'm sure someone like Chuck Boyer, I bet knows the exact reason this is this way, but I want to hear from people.
yes, Chuck could not be flagged down by the doctor as he claims that Chuck would have known immediately, which he might know.
He was at that game, but it was a sold-out crowd. I had talked to Chuck twice already during the game, and he was busy.
I believe, and this is just taking a stab in the dark
Yeah.
here, that there are general dimensions that each major league team has to abide by major league rules within reason, and then obviously there is some sort of creative
I'm assuming that.
license that they can do with these ballparks.
I'm assuming that, but look at Fenway. You hit a ball to left field, it's only, what, 290?
Well, yeah, you just can't
It
have
has
like
to go over
200
a 40-foot
feet.
fence.
You can't have a 200-foot like wall in the outfield. I mean, obviously, there's got to be some sort of minimum. So yeah, that would be
I'm
something.
guessing, too, that's it. But let's hear from people.
Yeah, so I mean that might be your challenging
Challenge
reading,
request,
reader
yeah. And you know what?
feedback of the week.
I
I'd say.
Googled this, MC, and there was no answer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I don't Google things very often regarding baseball.
No, because you wouldn't even be the doctor. Then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, last but not least,
This is
I
gonna
love
lead
this
into-
guy. I love our listener, Danny D. in
Yes.
Las Vegas.
I
Every
love
time
him
we
as
get
well.
feedback
Great,
from
great.
Danny, it's always stuff that's on the pulse.
Yes.
Yeah, Danny says, do we, meaning you and I, MC, do we
Okay.
think the fans should be voting on the All-Star game, and should their votes be for the starting players?
You want to take a stab at that? Or what?
I'll go ahead and voice
Yeah,
my opinion.
go ahead.
I don't think the fans should be voting. I've never liked it. They started doing it when I was young, very young, and
Yeah.
I was against it even then. I think they vote for... I'm not picking on the Cubs, but the whole infield in the National League this year is Chicago Cubs. Now, does Addison Russell deserve to start over Corey Seager or
it's
Trevor Story?
Addison Russell don't even belong on the team,
Okay.
unfortunately. But you know,
This is fan voting.
yeah.
When the players and managers voted, I always thought they got the right people. So that's what do you
Well,
think?
Trevor Story is not even on the. See, he may not even make the team because of that. So yeah, I tend to agree. I think though the fans did get it right, 1970, there was a write-in vote for Rico Carthy. That was something.
Rico Carty, yeah, and he
Yeah,
ended up winning the batting title
yeah.
that year. That was right.
So that would have been a this day
But-
in baseball. I figured
We'll
I'd
get to
mention
that,
it here.
but-
yeah, that's. So the fans will write in somebody who's
They
absolutely
will, but it's been
necessary
a
if he's
long
not on
time
the
since
ballot.
someone got wrote in, because places like Chicago will send incredible millions of votes in. They'll vote time and time again.
No, I don't know about that, because there's been a lot of times where they could have done it before. This is something that justified a lot of time. A lot of teams look at it and say, hey, the Cubs are juggernauts this year. And they may have just wrote the entire infield in. People who didn't know what to vote for at short. That shows maybe a little bit of ignorance there, but here's what I would think they would do. I think there should always be a fan's choice for somebody to get in.
And how about for the last player?
Yeah, that
Okay.
that I probably believe that there should always be that. But yeah, there might need to be some trumping, you know, like.
Yes.
But you know, like in Addison Russell's case, he's a great young player. He's not really putting it all together.
There's no Trevor Story.
He's
There's no Corey
not.
Seager
He
this
doesn't.
year.
He
So
doesn't belong there. Unfortunately, the
Corey
fans
Seager
got
should
that
be the
wrong.
National League starter, in my opinion. But
Or Trevor Story.
well, yeah, there's an argument to be made for
Yeah,
Story.
but no, I mean either one of them would be great
Yeah.
choices over Addison Russell,
That's right.
unfortunately. But the other three were good choices. Bryant, Rizzo tearing it up.
I have no argument with
Zobrist
those.
just having an unbelievable year.
I agree, but I just use the Cubs as an example.
Yeah, no, I know. That's unfortunate. You know, I mean, Russell, what is Russell supposed to do? Not take it? And the
Well,
fans
and
voted
Dexter
him in.
Fowler, who's on the DL, got voted
He's not even
in.
going to be able to make it, though.
Well,
You know, so that won't-
waste a third outfield.
Yeah, but he did. He's having a great year too.
Sure he
I
is,
mean,
but he's hurt.
yeah, now he is though. You know, remember the fans have had chance to vote on these for a long
No,
time.
and that's the other thing. They've been chance to vote 1,000 times. If you want to vote, you can vote 1,000 times.
I don't agree with that.
How fair? I don't either. How fair is that?
No, that I don't even.
fact-
that doesn't even make any sense.
I know. We're in a presidential year. How about we vote 1,000 times for the presidential candidate we like? Let's let everybody.
We
do
might
that.
as well do that. It's not even going to matter. But that's a different.
That's true. That's a
discussion, right?
different show altogether.
Yes, that's the political pitch.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move away from
But
that.
yeah, and I guess that leads into our hot topic, which we always credit Danny D for leading
Yes.
us in these directions. Who should make that final spot? I mean, the rosters have been released, Doctor. So
Yes.
I mean, looking at those, all those Cubs that are on the team, obviously, we're also going to look at some of the guys in both American and National League. But the final vote. So we'll just specifically go on that one right now.
Yeah. Yeah, because the
you know-
players who are, what is there, 5 left in each league that gets one spot, there's 5 guys left.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at that, I mean, just to start with the National League final vote, you got. Well, actually, I'll tell you what, Doctor. Before we do that, here's the All-Star Game starters. This is the
Okay.
All-Star Game show, so we need to do this. So the American League, it's Salvador Perez at catcher, Eric Hosmer at first. That's right, 2 Royals immediately. Jose Altuve at second,
Got to be there.
Manny Machado at third,
Got to be there.
Xander Bogaerts at
I
shortstop,
have no argument with that.
Mookie Betts in the outfield,
Definitely.
Jackie Bradley in the outfield.
Yeah.
Mike Trout in the outfield.
Mike Trout belongs as the all-star in any team.
David Ortiz as the
David
There's a lot of
Ortiz.
Red Sox on the American League side, so you can just single out the Cubs.
But those Red
That's
Sox
a-
are performing.
Yeah.
There's not one of
you know,
them. That
not
you could
one of
say
them
doesn't belong
probably you
there.
would say was a bad choice.
Right,
not like
right.
on the National League side. We have Buster Posey as catcher, Anthony Rizzo at first, Ben Zobrist at second, Chris Bryant at third, Addison Russell, as we discussed, at short. Jonas.
That's a bad one right there.
Cespedes, Dexter Fowler, and Bryce Harper round out the outfield.
See, and
for
I
National
disagree. I don't know if Cespedes belongs there or Fowler.
League. Yeah. Well, Fowler has had a great year up
Yeah,
until
so
he got
yes,
hurt.
Cespedes, but
I
are
mean,
there other
well,
players?
why don't you just say, like, who do you think should have been in there? Bryce Harper's arguably struggled all year. At a 250 some average, I think, right now, and
18 home runs.
18 home runs. Yeah, but you were off the air. You were ripping, saying Trevor Story didn't belong in there with now he has 21 home runs.
Trevor Story either hits a home run or strikes out. Does a guy like that belong in there?
It's doubles. His average is around the same as Harper, though. He's got more home runs than Harper.
He plays
RBIs
in Colorado.
and runs.
He plays in Denver, so
well,
you can
what
double his numbers, because if he was anywhere else, he'd have 10 home runs.
Carlos Gonzalez don't belong there?
Carlos Gonzalez belongs as the last outfielder. Carlos Gonzalez has proved himself over
But he
years.
also plays for Colorado, so that
his numbers are bumped up too. No, I'm not. Trevor Story, no rookie is going to perform like that. If Trevor Story was on any other team, he would be maybe not even starting.
Don't make me look this up and see where Story started. If the first game where he hit the 2 home runs was in Colorado or on the road.
It was in Colorado.
Oh, you think so?
I guarantee it was.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to look that one up. Okay, so the Royals, they had decent ones. You had the Red Sox, obviously, a lot, and the Cubs a lot. So, we're looking at...
I want to know a couple things, though. You asked me about another outfielder.
Yes.
Well, this is an American League guy, but Mark Trumbo. Why is he not?
That's surprising. Yeah, I would say that, because we're going to get here on we have to get the other reserves that are on here.
Okay.
And
let's talk about the reserves.
So let's take a little reserves, then we'll do the final vote, because that would make more sense. So, Doctor, you're going to give us the reserves before we do the final vote there. So
I will. And let me start with the American League. All right, Salvador Perez, no argument there.
He's a starter. Yeah.
All right, the reserves are Stephen Vogt of the Athletics.
Okay.
Matt Wieters of the Orioles.
All right.
No real disagreement there. First base, I disagree with. These guys should be reversed. Eric Hosmer is the starter. Miguel Cabrera is the reserve. I believe Cabrera.
Trumbo, obviously. Well, Trumbo, I think in fantasy he's been playing outfield.
But Cabrera's a reserve. Second base, Jose Altuve. Nobody in the world can disagree with that.
He's the starter, of course.
Right. Reserves are Robinson Cano of the Mariners. Yeah, Eduardo Nunez of the Twins, and I can't disagree.
I don't know, on second base, I think Nunez has been playing all over the infield, but yeah, he's having a great year.
Yeah. Third base,
obviously.
Manny Machado, the reserve is Josh Donaldson, and I'd have been good with Donaldson starting, really.
Yeah. So, well, but I mean, look at Machado, though. He's tearing it up, too. So either one of those, could be switched. So, yeah, those are good choices there. Xander
Bogaerts at shortstop, and I believe he earned it. Francisco Lindor is a reserve, and he's another good young shortstop. So
player there.
They're represented well there.
So on the outfield, do you agree with the reserves? What do you got for
reserves in the outfield? Are Carlos Beltran of the Yankees, and I have been looking at. He's having an incredibly resurgent year. Mark Trumbo of the Orioles, and
so he is a reserve.
He is a reserve, and Ian Desmond of the Rangers.
Yeah, he's actually having a pretty good year too. We can't discount that. So you were saying Trumbo should have been starting?
I believe he should.
Over Jackie Bradley Jr., maybe?
I do. One last thing I forgot to mention. DH David Ortiz, the reserve is Edwin Encarnacion of the Blue Jays. I have no disagreement there.
You could just like you could switch Donaldson and Machado, you could easily do that with Encarnacion and tearing it up.
That's right.
So National League-wise, reserve-wise, you're going to run those down, right?
I am going to. Okay.
So before... Doc, before we do the National League, the pitching reserves for the American League.
Right, I'll give you the starters and the relievers.
Okay.
And the thing is, and when you read the National League pitchers, we'll talk about this, I think there's a dramatic difference. So the starting pitchers for the American League.
Okay.
Marco Estrada from the Blue Jays.
He's going to be on the DL, so he won't be
there.
Playing.
Cole Hamels from the Rangers.
Okay.
No argument. Danny Salazar, Indians.
Okay.
He belongs. Stephen Wright, the Red Sox knuckleballer, came out of nowhere. He's there.
Yes.
And, of course, Chris Sale of the White Sox.
Oh, yeah.
But that's all for starting pitchers.
Okay.
The relief pitchers in the American League.
Okay.
And this surprised me.
Did you mention Corey Kluber?
Corey Kluber's not listed.
Yeah.
Well, he's not on this list
Corey Kluber.
Anybody else?
Danny Salazar. You mentioned Salazar, right?
Yeah.
So Corey Kluber may have been a late addition.
You know what? He's replacing Estrada.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, relief pitchers.
All right, go ahead.
Check this out, MC.
All right.
Dylan Betances from the Yankees.
Yep.
Brad Brock from the Orioles.
Okay.
Zach Britton from the Orioles.
Okay.
Alex Colome from the Rays.
Yes.
Will Harris from the Astros. Yeah. Kelvin Herrera from the Royals. Yeah. Craig Kimbrell from the Red Sox. Andrew Miller from the Yankees. Yeah. Wade Davis had been named, but he's injured. He won't play. He was replaced by Andrew Miller.
Yeah, okay.
Do you really feel that's a strong pitching staff?
That's a pretty good relief staff.
How about the starters too? I mean,
So the starters are strong. You know,
Well, when you name the National League-
Kluber's been wishy-washy
Yeah.
as he's been the last couple of years.
as we hear now, you're going to do the National League. When you get to the pitchers, let's talk about the combination.
Yeah,
comparison.
so we're gonna, we obviously just ran down the entire, American League roster. So as we did the starters for the National League.
Yeah. So who are the reserves?
So going into the reserves in the National League. Well, actually, the pitching staff first. So we're
Okay.
going to go into the pitching staff. We have Jake Arrieta, who's probably going to start, obviously,
Okay.
with Kershaw down. We got the awesome Madison Bumgarner,
Great pitcher.
Johnny Cueto.
Great pitcher. Cueto's having a great year.
He is Jose Fernandez.
Okay, another one.
We have relieving as well. They're listing some of those here in the middle.
There's more starters on there.
Jerus Familia,
Okay.
Kenley Jansen.
Okay.
Obviously Kershaw's
Kershaw's hurt.
on the DL. John Lester actually made the team.
Lester.
Another starter, Mark Melanson, and
Great
relief.
closer.
AJ Ramos, another reliever. Fernando Rodney, who was traded, obviously from the
Still made the
Padres,
Marlins.
but he's on the Marlins. Going back to the starters, we got Steven Strasburg, Noah Syndergaard, Julio Teheran, who's on the DL.
Right.
Or
He deserves to
I
be there,
believe
though.
he's looking at the DL stint if he's not already on there. Going into the reserves in the National League.
Hold on, I want to talk about the pitchers for a
Okay,
second.
yeah, go ahead.
In my opinion, and I want to hear our listeners, I want your opinion.
Okay.
That National League staff trumps the American League staff 10 different ways. I don't believe the American League pitching staff holds a candle to that
I don't
staff.
think they match up as well. Yeah,
At all.
I agree.
At all. I'd put Chris Sale up against anybody, but I'd put Madison Bumgarner, Jake Arrieta.
Kluber's on that team. Oh, he replaced Estrada, but even Kluber,
He's
Estrada,
not having the
they're
kind of
not
year
gonna-
that Bumgarner, Cueto, Johnny Cueto's 13-1. I mean, that is an
impressive
untouchable
staff. But I mean, the National League usually doesn't seem to pull these out.
Well,
So maybe this year is their year, huh?
Chuck Boyer, want to make a bet on this All-Star game? I'll see you in a
Please
couple days. So
don't make a bet with Chuck Boyer.
Okay. What about the
Okay,
reserves?
going to reserves, we had Nolan Arenado at third base.
Okay.
Matt Carpenter also at third base.
I don't know about that one.
That one, we Almeida Diaz.
I agree with that.
Carpenter, I don't know. I think Carpenter is injured though, isn't he?
I don't know,
I'd
but
have to look at his
he might have
but I
been.
believe he
Diaz
might
having a
be out.
tremendous year as a rookie.
Yeah, Adam Duvall was having a great year with
He
the
is.
Reds. Paul Goldschmidt, obviously,
Goldschmidt
reserve
belongs.
first base. Carlos Gonzalez, reserve in there, having a great year. Obviously, is for the Rockies. Odubel Herrera, is outfielder for
They have
the
to have
Phillies.
somebody from the Phillies on the team, and he's probably the best
Yeah,
choice.
I believe he's probably one of the best players in the Phillies. Jonathan Lucroy
I believe Jonathan Lucroy is the most underrated catcher in the major leagues.
still hasn't
And
been traded though. You had made a guarantee that he should have
He
been
was supposed to
traded.
go to one of the National League or American League West teams, and now I hear he's going to a National League East team, and I hear it's imminent after the All-Star game. So that's a source
Leave
of
it
mine.
when we see it, listeners.
Yeah, well.
the doc is.
How about you and I make a bet on that?
How about we don't bet ever?
Yeah, it's a good idea because you'll lose.
Well, you'll lose, so will I. Daniel Murphy also on.
Now, let me speak to that for a
having a
second.
great year.
I believe he's leading the National League in hitting, and he has doubled his output of home runs for the season over last year. I don't know.
And I think we would both probably agree that probably at the time the Nationals may have overpaid to steal him
I
from the
thought
Mets,
that.
but his clutch postseason carried over into
Right.
the
I didn't think
season
he'd do it. I really didn't.
Carried the Nationals, I think, while
Well,
Bryce
Harper was
Harper was
down
finding
with his
bat.
bad slump, yeah.
Yeah, Will Myers from the Padres.
I don't
is-
believe Will Myers
they're-
belongs.
they're well, it's Padres, you need a Padre on
You
the
need a
team.
Padre on the team. See, that's something else.
But he's having a pretty good year though. I think he's
having a
actually-
decent year. Is it an all-star year? I don't think so. But
Well,
let me ask you this.
He needs to be on a team.
And I want to hear this from our listeners. Do you believe somebody should be on the team from every city just because there's a baseball
Yeah, that
team
is an
there?
interesting discussion. They don't do that, I don't think, anymore in the NBA.
They do not.
But I think you got enough spots on these teams that a player should be represented, unless your entire team is hitting 100.
Well, let's take a team like the Minnesota Twins. Troy Hawkins, I hope you're listening. Does anyone on the Minnesota Twins roster belong on this All-Star
Yeah,
team?
Edwin Nunez.
Yeah,
A sensational
okay,
year.
but for him, he's having a sensational year.
20
But
stolen bases, 11 home runs.
the people up in
batting
Minneapolis,
.312.
people up in Minneapolis, St. Paul, are they even going to watch the All-Star game? Even if he's on the team?
If
I don't
Troy
know.
Hawkins was here, he probably would just smack you right in
Troy
the face.
Hawkins needs to send us more feedback. I want to hear from him on this.
Well, Troy, I'm with you on there. I think Nunez easily needs to be on there.
Well, I talked to our producer Craig, and he agrees with you. There should be a player from every city. I just don't.
Yeah. Well,
Because people like Herrera from the Phillies. Herrera's having a good year.
Yeah.
He's not having an all-star year, but there has to be a Philly.
There has to be a Philly, but he's not a scrub. You're
Well,
not saying like he's batting 100. And he's
No,
making
but no
all-star
major
team.
league player is a scrub.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, but
We've
I mean,
talked about that
of
before.
course. But I'm saying like from a sense, you're saying like, hey, he has to be there, like he's batting 100 or something. This is still a pretty major. He's having a pretty good
He's
year.
having a decent year.
Well,
Not having an all-star year.
don't just throw him under the bus like he is a scrub. That's what I'm talking
meaning
about.
to, but there are other players more deserving on different teams.
It could be arguably you can make a case with a lot of guys,
Okay.
but he's a solid player. He's still, I think, if you're going to have representation from the Phillies, he's got to be there.
That's my argument. You don't need representation from everybody. But let's hear from you guys. Let's see what other people think.
I think it's part of the fans thing. You got a lot of fans in Philadelphia.
Well, let's hear
just
from the
like
fans
in-
then.
A lot of fans in Minnesota,
Not up
even
to you
though
and me
you're
to
just
decide.
insulting the fans
I
of
did
Minnesota.
not. It's not
You're
up to
just
you.
assuming we don't have any fans from Minnesota, and Troy Hawkins is a great listener.
Well, let's hear from other listeners how they feel about it, because you and I disagree on
You're
this.
going to get some angry fans.
Not that we agree on everything.
Angry
but-
fans are going to be attacking you. So
Nah,
you're asking for it, definitely.
No,
with
no,
with
they're-
these comments that you're making.
They're accepting my baseball
insulting-
knowledge and accepting it and
insulting
agreeing with it.
The great fan base of the Minnesota Twins and Philadelphia Phillies.
And let me get back to that's all the reserves, right?
No, Marcell
okay.
Ozuna from the Miami Marlins, Wilson Ramos having a great
Tremendous
year.
year.
Both of those players were Corey Seager, of course, with
Right.
the shortstop with the Dodgers. So we're going to get into the which segues into the final vote, basically. So. And this is where we want to get our fans is before we
Absolutely.
head to a great station break here. So the final vote, then, and this is the interesting discussion, Doc. Who would you take on the final votes? We're going to give you the choices here.
Okay.
So when you're looking at going into the American League,
Okay.
we have Dustin Pedroia, Ian Kinsler, Evan Longoria, Michael Saunders, and George Springer. So out of those guys, who would you choose?
Wow, that's tough. I'd pass on Pedroia and Kinsler. They are great players. They're not having their best seasons.
Whoa.
Not having their best.
Ian
season.
Kinsler is on fire.
He's on
having
fire,
sensational
but
season. What are
he's
you
having
talking
okay
about?
year. He's having
okay year.
What's
wrong
I'm
with
talking
you?
about a last pick for
Ian
an all-star
Kinsler?
team. I'd have to go with one of the two outfielders, Saunders or Springer, and it would be Springer I'd go with.
I like Springer. He's on my fast pitch fantasy league team. I think Ian Kinsler needs to be there.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, he's having
let me
a
put it this
sensational
way.
year.
I will put it this way.
Yeah.
If he's the one, I have no argument
Yeah, I
with
would say so. I
He
mean,
wouldn't be my
Longoria
pick.
is starting to turn around.
He
I
is,
mean,
but-
same thing with Springer. I mean, he's almost 20 home runs. He's at 19.
it. Right.
I think.
If Kinsler makes it, I have no problem. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying here. I would prefer Springer.
Okay year. Oh, jeez.
You're comparing him to other all-stars.
Do I need to run down his stats?
No, you
Doctor?
do not. We know our fans look at stats.
Okay. National League's Final Five is a battle between San Francisco's Brandon Belt, Milwaukee's Ryan Braun, Arizona's Jake Lamb, Pittsburgh's Starling Marte, and Colorado's Trevor Story. So out of those, Doc, before we head towards our station break, who would you say?
I go with Jake Lamb from Diamondbacks.
Yeah, he's just not batting against left.
That's the only. Yeah, let me think about this for a second. If not Jake Lamb, I'd go with Brandon Belt.
Belt might be my choice. Story, I think, belongs there. I don't like that Russell is in there before a deserving player like Story. I know he strikes out a lot. I agree.
Story
with
and
you.
Seager, either one should be the
Yeah,
starter.
I mean, Seager, probably you're right. I think probably Seager should start. Story would be a very close second just because he's having a sensational rookie
Yes,
year
he
here.
strikes out a lot and he plays in Colorado, but he is having a
does.
sensational
Yeah, well,
year.
let's just not throw him under the bus there. He still is hitting the baseball. You need a lot of
Now,
skill
let me
to
mention
do that.
Ryan Braun quickly. This guy goes down with some type of injury every other week. He has barely got enough at bats to qualify, and yet here he is in the final vote for the All-Star game. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be making any cases for Ryan Braun.
No, and I don't think he's going to make it either.
one of the
But
fast pitches favorite
I would
players
go
there.
with probably, well, like I said,
I
Brandon-
lean towards Story because I think you got to have the real shortstop who should probably be there.
well, that's Seager in my opinion. Actually,
that's
like
what
I
mean.
said,
The
either one. of them.
Seager's already on the team.
Yeah.
So Story would be the real reserve.
I won't
we
have a
would say
problem with
that.
Stories in one. Let me
Yeah,
put it that way.
Belt would be that. I like Lamb a lot. I just think he needs to hit left-handed. pitching,
When you
have
pointed that out, I
opportunity.
agree with you. He needs to play every day. And why they sit him against left-handed pitchers, I do not know.
I think that's the only way he's going to get better.
Me too.
So, yeah, good discussion. So, as at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, the Fast Pitch MLB at gmail.com. Let us know feedback. Let us know this All-Star game is going to be coming up.
Be probably a day after we should air this show.
Yeah, so we will actually have, a post All-Star game edition. So we'll be talking about the fun stuff there. That possibly will be game 30 if we don't have a special interview show in between.
Correct.
So, Doc, we're going to get to a great Who Am I segment before Craig starts rattling our cage here.
Okay. And I've been getting more feedback. Not only is Who Am I one of people's favorite segments, but they're liking more and more the more obscure players we're naming, or forgotten players. Now, who am I this week? Who am I? I won 251 Major League games and had 255 complete games.
Sounds like an old school player there.
Yes. I was a 2-time Cy Young Award winner in 1968 and 1970. And listen to this hint, MC. On July 15th, 1967, I was struck in the leg by a Roberto Clemente line drive. I faced 3 more batters, striking out 2 before I was taken off the field with a broken leg from the line drive.
That is unbelievable.
It's incredible. And we'll hear Who Am I after we return.
The Fast Pitch will return after these words.
You are listening to thebeststation.net, home of the best station, the best music for the best audience. Now featuring the best podcasts for the best audience.
It's a fun fashion sensation. The incredible I'm in the Mood shirt. Perfect for today's lifestyle. It's fun. Goes where you go. The Mood applique actually changes color responding to your mood, your hidden emotions. Black, you are tense. Green, you are more relaxed. And finally, the most desired shade of violet blue. You are in the mood. A fun part of your life. The In the Mood shirt comes in a complete range of sizes and colors. In the Mood shirts, available at leading stores everywhere.
Which was the stupidest move ever?
Bottom 6, this is when things get a bit testy. Leading up the frame for the home team, Chris Owings gets drilled in the back of the helmet by Loesch. The body language by Loesch indicating this was not intentional. You certainly hope it wasn't. Owings, tough kid. He stays in the game, takes his base. 2 batters later, it is Mike Bolsinger squaring to bunt, and Loesch comes high and tight on him. Now Kirk Gibson's fired up. Let's go top 7 now. It is Evan Marshall on in relief in a 4-3 game, and you had to see that coming. Marshall throwing behind Braun, as Marshall getting warned by the home plate umpire, but that warning falls on deaf ears on the very next pitch. Braun is drilled to load the bases. Marshall is tossed, and he gets the kudos from his teammates. So it's Brad Ziegler on in relief of Marshall, and he's about to deliver his first pitch of the night to Jonathan Lucroy.
And a swing and a deep fly ball to left center field. Peralta back, looking up, and there it goes! Jonathan Lucroy on the first pitch hits a grand slam to center, and the Brewers have their first lead. It's 7-4.
WTMJ on the call. Lucroy's third career.
Or
the most he threw in spring was 78 pitches. You know, he's coming off Tommy John. He threw 70 innings last year, and so at 100 pitches, that was our number. And I think for me, the bigger question is, I was really contemplating, should I send him out for the 8th? For the 8th with 91 pitches, and then at that point in time, once I decided to send him out for the 8th, it was kind of we're still trying to win a game. I want to keep his future and health in mind, and so I made that decision. If somebody gets on base, we're going to go to Hash. And
right, so you said I had a pitch count. I actually don't know if I did or not. It's not really something you're thinking about when you're pitching, I guess. As far as getting taken out, I thought it was the right choice. I was tired. I think I'd walked a couple late in those innings, and it was the right call. Whether I was at the high pitch count or whatever, I think you could tell that I was, trending downwards, and I think it was a tough decision for him, and I certainly had no ill feelings towards the decision one bit.
it's time to vote now!
This is a public service announcement from the Fast Pitch. Warning for all fans who attend games at their local stadiums. Danger lurks everywhere, flying balls and bats being the least of it. Stadium chicken wings have sent one player to a hospital in New York. Now, Orioles pitcher Brian Densing has suffered a season-ending elbow injury while moving his chair in the bullpen. So fans, Buy Stadium Health Insurance and Protection Insurance today. Insurance is available from the FastPitchMLB at gmail.com.
And we are back on the Fast Pitch Game 29. To jump right into it, Doc, because we had a very long first third of the show, we have our Who Am I reveal. So
that is correct, and
fans are going to be pleasantly, hopefully, surprised here with this one.
I think so. And just briefly, won 251 Major League games, had 255 complete games, MC. No pitch counts, obviously, for this man.
Yes.
Two-time Cy Young Award winner, 68 and 70. Struck out 2 batters after having his leg broken by a line drive, and then he came out of the game.
Who is it?
We are talking about the great Bob Gibson.
Bob Gibson,
St.
definitely
Louis Cardinals pitcher.
Probably not enough accolades for this
Not enough for this
unbelievable
17-year Major League veteran who was known as one of the top 4 in the major leagues, the other 3 being Koufax, Drysdale, and Marichal.
Intimidating pitcher, too,
Oh, yes.
right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Bob Gibson.
Let me tell you a brief story that I heard from our friend Byron Brown.
Please, please.
Byron was teammate on the Cardinals. And one time they had a series in Los Angeles against the Dodgers. Friday game, Tommy Davis hit a game-winning home run in the 9th inning off Gibson.
Yeah.
That night, there was a party, and a lot of the players from both teams went, and Tommy Davis introduced his wife to Bob Gibson.
Yeah.
And his wife, Carol, said, "Oh, hi, I know who you are. You're the guy Tommy hit the game-winning home run off." And according to Byron, Davis put his head down and said, "Honey, let's go get a drink." And the next day, Davis, first time up to bat, bang, right in the head. And as he ran down to first base, or walked down to first base shaking his head, he looked at Gibson and said, "Okay, now I know why that happened."
Yeah.
That's the kind of player Gibson was, and I like that old
Hit him
school
in
stuff.
the head.
Hit him in the head, yeah.
Oh, wow. Hey, don't be playing around with the pitcher's pride there.
That's right, and you didn't do that to Gibson, believe me. You didn't charge him out on Gibson, none of that. So, Bob Gibson.
That might be a fast pitch advice here given by Dr. Story to keep a leash on your wife.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
good
right,
idea.
definitely. Especially if you're going to have Bob Gibson throw at you the next time.
That's right.
So, Doc, we're going to get right into it. Not playing around here. One of the great segments we have here on the Fast Pitch Feud.
That's right.
Okay, Doc, we're not going to play around here. We're going to jump right into this. We're going to give you our questions we had on Game 28, and I'll get you number 1 answers, and then we'll run down the 4 great listeners that gave us entries into this.
Okay, and if I remember right, there's some new listeners this week, so I'm happy about it. Okay,
excited.
Fire away.
Number 1, this is from last show. Name a baseball legend or personality that made a, they've made a movie based upon. And number 1 answer is Jackie Robinson, 42. Obviously, he was
okay, and there was also
there.
the Jackie Robinson story in 1955.
Yeah. So you got a couple choices there. Second place, number 2 answer would have been Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I remember that Babe Ruth movie. Who were the other answers?
All of them are single answers, but to throw some of those out there, Cobb, obviously the movie Cobb would have been another one. I think Lou Gehrig.
Lou Gehrig, Pride of the Yankees, Gary Cooper.
Number 2, name a player on Name a player on the Colorado Rockies, past or present, and it'd be like me throwing answers into the bullpen. Name a player on the Colorado Rockies, past or present. Number 1 answer, Todd Helton, tie with Larry Walker. So both of them.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I don't know if you remember when I interviewed Jeff Cirillo earlier in the year, and I asked him who the greatest player he was ever on the field with. He said Larry Walker.
Larry Walker is, I think, a very underrated hitter, pure hitter.
Forgotten great player.
Yeah, played a great amount of his career on the Montreal Expos, also on the, obviously later in his career then with the Colorado
Rockies. Who else could they name besides Helton and Walker?
Number 2 answer would have been Troy Tulowitzki and Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon?
Yeah,
that's the most memorable Rocky. He's only been there 3 years.
Charlie Blackmon, the guy we keep dropping, and our great listener, Jeff Hamilton, picks him up and destroys us with.
Destroys us, that's right.
Yes. Number 3, finally, Doc, besides a hit, name a way a runner can score from third base. Number 1 answer was steal home.
That surprises me.
Yeah. Sack fly,
that's
which
what
would be the normal one. That's second. Number 2 answer, wild pitch would have been number 3. So, And then we have other miscellaneous answers. So, to get back down to our entries, so first one, David G.
David G, great listener.
So, David says Cobb, so he gets a point there. Todd Helton, and that was tied for number 1, so he ties for number 1 answer there. And Wild Pitch, so we got the number 2 answer.
Okay.
So, David G finishes with 6 points. The great Norm Ordaz. You were on his show, right?
I was on Norm's show.
Yeah.
Norm, how are you doing, buddy?
Yeah, so Norm is entered in the Fast Pitch Feud, so great to have you here, Norm.
It is great because, Norm, I know you don't have any segments on your show like this that are fun, so I'm glad you joined in.
So Norm, Kent Stock was his answer for Baseball Legend person they've made a movie upon. Nobody said that.
Nobody said that. There was a good movie about
He
him.
did say Cargo, which surprisingly nobody surveyed says Cargo, so he does not get any points for that. And Air, which would also score. Those aren't bad answers from Norm.
They're really not.
Norm finished with 0 points.
Well, Norm, listen to our show more often, and it'll give you an idea of how to play this game, and maybe you'll get better ratings.
Throw some jabs at Norm here, but we appreciate him
we
participating.
do. Norm, seriously.
In all seriousness, yes, thank you,
and
Norm.
he does promote our show like we promote his. So.
Norm had mentioned having me on, so hopefully Norm get a hold of me, and I would love to be on the show, and vice versa. We'll probably
I'd love to have Norm on the show.
They have to have Norm on. Okay, so Chuck J. He's the 3rd entrant. Okay, so Chuck answers were Ruth, so she gets the second. Babe Ruth, obviously. So he gets a second place answer on there. Said Mike Lansing for a player in the Rockies. That's an obscure name, and they got him nothing. And surprisingly, I guess Balk would score, but nobody said Balk, so unfortunately Chuck finished. Don't give up, Chuck. Just keep trying.
Chuck J's got to be a baseball man with those kind of answers. A knowledgeable person.
Yeah, finishes with 2 points, but hey, not everybody can be Chuck Boyer, our number 4 entrant here, and win more than anybody. And Chuck would say you're saving the best for last. So Chuck B. Chuck got some great answers here, Doc. Jackie Robinson, he gets the number 1 answer, which nobody else had said. So it's number 1 right off the bat. He also tied number 1 answer with Todd Helton. And Chuck had number 3 answer with Wild Pitch, but that still gave him. Chuck would have won with the first 2 answers, unfortunately. And Chuck finishes with 11 points. So
Chuck Boyer?
Chuck Boyer is our winner.
Chuck
Defeats his good buddy David G.
And his other good buddy Chuck J. I know they're friends.
Yeah. And Chuck should really be disqualified because he answered on the Best Station page.
I disagree. If they answer on either page, if we would get this up on the Fast Pitch before anything else, then yes, it should be required.
Well, I think if you want to wait for the answer thread, then we could do that. I'm just trying to make a case for David G. because
David G. Will
Chuck
win.
has
I'm
won
sure
3 bazillion times, and he could have let his buddy David G. win
this is a competitive
Maybe Chuck
thing.
will just give the prize to David G. Who knows?
He might. Chuck has a boatload of prizes.
He is a magnanimous individual.
Yes,
so,
he is.
Chuck, congratulations! You are the winner of Fast Pitch.
Yes,
this
Chuck
week.
Boyer, congratulations again. I'll see you as soon as I can. Maybe I'll run into you. You're a Diamondbacks fan, and I cover games there, so maybe I'll see you.
Keep running. He's going to keep running Chuck from you until he gives you his entire prize.
I've been giving him a prize every time I see him.
And I want David, Norm, and Chuck to please keep playing because I appreciate that. All the participants. And David G, you're very close. Chuck edged you out this time.
The other thing is, and we talked about Norm, Chuck J. I know who Chuck J is, and he is a very knowledgeable baseball man. I'll be surprised if he doesn't start reeling off wins alongside his buddy Chuck. I think he'll pass Chuck B in wins. I'm not going to bet on it, but...
Well... You never know.
No, I'm not going to bet on it, but I bet Chuck J starts rolling them out.
Chuck Boyer ever, please. I don't want to see you in a Diamondbacks dress. So, we got 3 new questions here, Doc. Leading into Fast Pitch Feud next show. Number 1. And please don't get angry with us. If we have an interview show in between these, just be patient. We'll get the answers. Doesn't mean
because I have feedback from people who are upset
we've said that. So don't worry about that. If we get an interview show, be happy that we're interviewing a baseball name and celebrity.
We got some legends coming up.
We'll get to the Fast Pitch Feud. Calm down, and we'll give you the answers the following show if that's okay. So if it's not the next show, don't come after the
Please don't be
leaving
painting notes on my car saying, where is it? Okay.
Don't attack the doctor, in other words. So
I'm just getting comfortable walking through stadiums now. So.
Yes, please. Well, for now, until Troy Hawkins or
until I go cover a game in Minneapolis.
Philadelphia Phillies fans.
Yeah.
And, I would never anger if I were you.
No.
So here it is, real quick on all seriousness. Number 1, besides a straight-up double itself, name a baseball term with double in it.
Good question.
We have a few on the tip of our tongue, which we cannot share with you right now. Number 2, name a player on the Cincinnati Reds, past or present.
And let me just say something. There are some great Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, yeah.
Please use your head and think in the past before you say somebody like...
Don't even say
somebody who's on the team this year.
Don't influence our listeners.
A rookie this year? Okay.
Well, hey, somebody said Trevor Story is a Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, well.
Hey, listeners could come in all shapes
and
and
sizes.
They can.
And ages.
Even babies. And number 3, name a type of condiment you put on your Diamond dog, hot dog, whatever
Dodger
it is.
dog, Angel dog,
Stadium
Diamondback
dog, whatever.
dog. You know, I like those questions this week.
Yeah, so it's fun. So please play. We want to get all these returning entries, and we're missing a couple guys. So hopefully Zachary L. and some of the other great
Corey
listeners,
S.
Hammy and
Hammy, yeah.
Please, we search all of our social media trying to find you guys' answers. We did not find them, and we did unfortunately have to make a deadline because we do have a recording time.
I was surprised Hammy usually enters. He won last time.
I know. So, if for some goofy reason this was placed somewhere else and we didn't, we apologize. But we'll score you, and maybe the doc would give you a consolation prize.
I can do that.
So if that does happen, well, we're not perfect here on the fast pitch. So, but please, I'm gonna try to make sure.
One of us is not perfect.
I'm not the one who is getting laughed at by his girlfriend for bad predictions at baseball games. So when we're looking at his answers, we probably prefer to put it on the thread. And as a doc, if our great producer Craig is posting in the middle of the night at midnight or something, I don't know if we're going to have the show maybe with the questions posted on there, but we will do our best in that current next day
he doesn't do it in the middle of the night, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, some of us.
It's because somebody who administrates the fast pitch page doesn't get around to it.
Some people might be working really early. Let's just say that. Okay, so Doc, we want to thank everybody for playing the Fast Pitch Feud. We got another great segment here, as we always do here on the Fast Pitch, and that's going to be courtesy of
NationalPastime.org.
NationalPastime.com is the great This Day in Baseball.
And I know there's some good ones this week.
Yeah, for
Real
sure.
good ones. Here we go.
Okay, Doc, so courtesy of the great serenading us this week in baseball, we're going to jump right into our regular segment here on the Fast Pitch, This Day in Baseball. And we turn back the clock as we always do, and we're going to be using the date of July 7th, which is a very special near and dear date. Is the birthday of my brother. Shout out to Frank.
Yes.
And we want to start off here rewinding and turning back the clock, Doc, to 1900 itself. For our first one, by defeating the Cubs 11-4, Bean Eaters.
Bean Eaters
hurler Kid Nichols takes only 9 seasons to get to his 300th victory. The 30-year-old righty will amass 361 victories during his 15-year career and will remain the youngest player ever to accomplish this feat. Amazing.
I had, believe it or not, a baseball card of Kid Nichols, one of those old, century-old baseball cards of Kid Nichols when I was a kid, and I always wondered, I never read it, so I always wondered what he had done. That's incredible.
What did you do, put it on somebody's car window, or?
I don't remember. I probably stuck it in the spokes of my bicycle, but Kid Nichols was a great pitcher.
Yeah, amazing. 1909, Doc, in a 15-3 blowout of the Browns, the White Sox collect 12 stolen bases. The thievery at Chicago Southside Park includes the theft of home plate 3 times.
Wow.
Could you imagine that in this day and age?
No, it never happens. It's rare now.
Insane.
One time.
1923, the Indians become the first American League team to score a run in every inning when they rout Boston 27-3 in the first game of a doubleheader at Cleveland's Dunn Field. The Tribe tallies nearly half their runs in the 6th frame, crossing the plate 13 times in a contest that takes only 2 hours and 10 minutes to complete. How the heck is that even possible?
How do you do that?
I have no clue, but that is a ridiculous line score.
Did they have a 3-ball, 2-strike rule back then?
I have no idea, but I'm going to try to post this line score on our Fast Pitch wall just to let so the fans can see this here. Turning back clock also to 1931, Doctor, the White Sox outlast and outslug the Browns, beating St. Louis in 12 innings, 10-8. During the Sportsman's Park contest, Not a single strikeout is recorded by the 5 pitchers who take the mound, making it the longest game in Major League history without a strike through.
Incredible.
That's another thing. With so many players to strike out in this day and age, I would imagine that would be damn near impossible.
Yeah. And for our listeners, and I don't know if you know this, the St. Louis Browns became the Baltimore Orioles.
Yes. Great bit of trivia. That's why he's the doctor, folks. 1936, Joe DiMaggio becomes the first rookie to appear in an All-Star game. See how we tie this in, All-Star game.
Yes.
When he starts in right field and bats third for the junior circuit in the team's 4-3 loss to the National League at Boston Braves Field. The 21-year-old Yankees outfielder doesn't fare well in the 4th edition of the Midsummer Classic, committing an error in making the last out of the game with a man in scoring position to finish his day 0 for 5 at the plate. Not really like Joe DiMaggio, but everybody has a bad day.
I want to say something about Joe real quick. I think we talked about it on the show. Maybe we talked about it off the air. People saying that, in fact, there was a show on ESPN about this.
Yeah.
No one today will break DiMaggio's hitting streak, 56 games, because the situations today are too hard for a player to succeed doing. Can I just give my opinion on that?
Go ahead.
Go back to 1941 and the trains they had to ride, they had no air conditioning. They would go coast to coast and back. And tell me that it was easier back then for DiMaggio to have a hitting streak. I defy anyone to tell me that.
A lot of tough pitching back in the day. People forget. And there's a lot less teams, so you got more elite pitchers facing. There's no watered down pitching. I mean, obviously, there's we've said many times, we joked earlier, there's no scrubs, but some of these pitchers probably back in the day, they wouldn't be making the clubs. There wouldn't be a spot for
That's
them.
right.
There just wouldn't be spots.
That's right.
A lot more tough pitching, I would guess.
I agree. So if today's players don't have it easier, I want to hear from someone telling me that.
I mean, I think if we get some great former Major League Baseball players in there, they would be defending that old school stance.
Should ask Byron.
Byron Brown, another great
and some of our future guests here, yes.
Yeah. Moving right along, Doc, 1948, on his 42nd birthday, Negro League legend Satchel Paige signs a contract to pitch for the Indians. Though viewed by many as another publicity stunt by team owner Bill Veeck, the crafty right-hander will finish the season 6-1 for the eventual world champs.
He was quite a pitcher, from what I hear.
Satchel Paige was amazing.
I've never seen anything, but from everyone I know connected with baseball, he's Hall of Fame.
And we were talking about, it's tying into our previous things of underrated pitchers.
Yes.
Probably, Satchel Paige, Bob Gibson, obviously maybe not getting quite the credit, I think.
Quite the credit they deserve,
They deserve, for sure. But, Satchel Paige is amazing.
Bob Gibson is still alive, too, and I wonder why he never is talked about. You never hear about him. But, I'll look into that.
Appearances, 1971, Doc, Commissioner Bowie Kuhn and Hall of Fame President Paul Kirk announced former Negro League players will have full membership in the Cooperstown Shrine. Last month, the Hall of Fame created a committee to select for annual induction players who had been at least 10 years veterans of the Negro Leagues and were ineligible for regular Hall of Selection, but was heavily criticized when originally planned to place the new inductees in a separate wing. So that was good for baseball.
I think that was a great thing.
And definitely, the right move.
Yes, I agree.
1982, this is a couple kind of two-parter here, but we're mentioning this just for...
Wait a minute, nothing from 1958? The greatest year?
1958.
Yes, there was nothing from 58?
If we added that, we'd have to have 1975.
If there was a 1975, that's the worst year of the century for people coming into the world.
75 would be a better year to add something in 58.
No. Go
1982, ahead. Harold Baines hits 3 consecutive home runs, including a grand slam, to lead the White Sox over Tigers 7-0. The Chicago right fielder hit solo round trippers leading off the 5th and 7th frames before going deep in the 8th, with the bases full to seal the deal in Comiskey Park contest. Now this kind of leads into the next one, which we have 2003. Obviously we skipped quite a deal ahead, but listen to this one, and this is someone you're very familiar with. Shea Hildenbrand becomes the 6th player to homer in 3 consecutive innings, tying a big league record. The third baseman's 4th, 5th, and 6th inning round trippers account for half of the runs the Diamondbacks score in their 14-6 victory over the Colorado at Bank One Ballpark. That is amazing.
That is amazing, and I do know Shea, and I think I'm going to get a hold of him and see if he can be a guest on our show. I'd like to talk about that very game.
I mean, that would be great.
And let me go back a second. Harold Baines, you and I both were big fans of Harold Baines. Another guy who is kind of forgotten.
Yeah.
Great player.
I think just quietly did his job and quietly amassed a Hall of Fame career.
I agree.
Just incredible baseball player. We're going to wrap these last couple up here, Doc. 2006, Travis Hafner is the name out of the past, for fans. Hits his 5th grand slam of the season when he clears the bases in the second inning of the Indians' 9-0 win over Baltimore at Jacobs Field.
5 grand slams by July 7th?
Yes, the Cleveland DH, who becomes the first player in Major League history to accomplish the feat before the All-Star break, breaks the franchise record for 4 round trippers, established in 1951 by Al Rosen.
Another Indian, yeah.
Another Indian from the past there.
Al Rosen was
Amazing.
also the Giants GM for several years, who made the Barry Bonds deal.
Yes, that's very true.
Travis Hafner, MC.
That's a name from...
Remember him at all?
Travis Hafner?
Yeah, he was in the Arizona Fall League when you and I worked together, but I remember him having that year, nothing before and nothing after.
Yeah, that's a shame. These players fizzle out very
Cleveland,
quickly.
Joe Charbonneau
That's
disease
an
is what I
impressive
call
feat, though, Doc. I mean, in all
Yes, it is.
seriousness,
Yes,
to hit
it
5
is.
grand slams and by July 7th, right
That's
before
incredible.
All-Star break, unbelievable. 2007, Mariners outfielder, another hot,
regular subject on the show.
I should say. Ichiro Suzuki records the first inside the park home run, in the All-Star game history when he hits Chris Young's fastball into deep right center at San Francisco's AT&T Park. The 5th inning blast caroons off the park's quirky configuration and continues to bounce away from National League center fielder Ken Griffey Jr., allowing the American League leadoff hitter, who will be named the game's MVP, to complete his way around the bases for the historic round tripper.
You and I both saw Ichiro during his absolute prime when he got here. The guy was unbelievable.
Yeah, hit machine.
The hit machine. And I vaguely remember that All-Star game and that home run. So.
Any of you listener that wants to give the doctor a T-shirt, World Hit King, you may do that. And the doc will gladly accept it.
World Hit King. There he is.
I wear my Pete Rose Major League Hits All-Time Leader T-shirt.
That's never going to go away, is it?
No, probably not. Last couple, Doc, and unfortunately this is a sadder one here. We're not going to end on this one, but this is a sad one. 2011, in an effort to grab the ball tossed in his hands by Josh Hamilton, Rangers fan Shannon Stone dies when he tumbles over the railing and falls 20 feet to the concrete pavement below. The 39-year-old Brownwood, Texas firefighter had attended the game with his 6-year-old son, Cooper. So that's gives chills just reading that.
Yeah,
it's just sad
hair
news.
standing up. I just want to say real quick, no foul ball or toss ball is worth that.
No.
I personally, when I cover Major League games, I bring 2 or 3 baseballs with me, and I give them to kids that are looking for
Please do
foul
not
balls.
do
So,
that,
yeah,
fans.
don't be jumping around like that.
A visage of a Yankees fan on the netting behind home plate was very scary as well. I remember that, and this is not the only time, unfortunately, these accidents have happened.
So please be careful.
Yes.
And it's a foul ball or a thrown ball by a player is not worth it.
Nothing is worth your life. And
Go buy one at the gift shop. You know?
that's just... Please be careful at these
Absolutely.
games. It's bad enough when these balls or bats are flung into and can make it past these nets,
Right.
and that's scary enough. So we're going to finish it up here, Doc, on a little bit lighter
happier note.
Yeah, on a happier note, an All-Star Game edition of the Fast Pitcher. 2012, Bryce Harper becomes the youngest position player to make an All-Star team when he's named to replace Miami's Giancarlo Stanton, who was unable to participate because of an injury. The 19-year-old Nationals outfielder, who was older than hurlers Dwight Gooden, who was on the Mets at the time, and Bob Feller with the Indians when they played in their first Midsummer Classic, surpasses backstop Butch Winnegar from the Twins as the youngest.
Butch Weiniger, yes.
Yeah, Weiniger, as the youngest non-pitcher to be selected. So look at that.
Bryce, I believe, deserved it that year. I
Yes.
thought he should have been on the team, even though he didn't come up until the end of May.
Yeah.
Bryce Harper will be
That should tell you how impressive that
Yes.
season was for him to.
And think about that. That was 4 years ago.
Yes.
That's his 5th year in the major leagues, and he's 24 years,
Has he
23 years
reached his
old.
peak? Probably not
Oh.
even yet, because look at this. He's still had a up and down season,
Right.
and he still made the All-Star team.
Right.
So. Doc,
Okay.
we got to pay the bills here for a second station break. So before we go to it, just thank you all for fans. When we come back, we will, of course, have our Fast Pitch Fantasy League as we wrap up the show.
Okay, be right back.
The Fast Pitch will return after these words.
Today we're shooting a really fun commercial. It's very competitive. It's me against Bryce in running, catwalk, hitting some balls. I just cracked my back.
Game day look. Oh, she's great. You know, it's been a lot of fun. I think being able to enjoy this with somebody that is on the catwalk
Nina.
every single day.
Nina.
Oh, I have to say Nina. Do I have to say Nina?
Call her by your name.
Okay, sorry. My bad.
letting it all hang out. She's a brick house. I like lady stack, that's a fact. Ain't holding nothing back. Oh, she's a brick house. Well put together, everybody knows this is how the story goes. She knows she's got everything that a woman needs to get a man. Yeah, yeah. How can she lose with the suit she used? 36, 24, 36. Oh, what a winning hand, 'cause she's a brick house. She's mighty, just letting it all hang out. And she's a brick house.
Baseball fans, is your birthday between November 1st and April 1st? Or maybe it's an anniversary? Are you tired of never getting your special day announced by the public address announcer? Well, today is your lucky day. For only $12.99 for birthdays and $15.99 for anniversaries, a professional announcer like this one, from the Howard Cosell Keith Jackson Broadcast School, will wish you a happy birthday at a deserted Rookie League game in Arizona, even though the game announcement will not be made on your actual day of celebration, and Espanol is available. Want the message to include wishes from your entire family or BFFs? Well, for an additional $3.99 per person, we can include your whole family tree in wishing you a special day. Too good to be true? We know. Now you can scratch this off your bucket list and know that the whole world could have heard your announcement if they had any interest at all. Call now 1-844-BIG-DEAL now for your professionalized consultation and message creation. And happy birthday.
And we are back on the Fast Pitch Game 29 Special All-Star Game Edition, Doctor.
Yes, we are. And this, again, we're coming up to a segment. This will be a closing segment, but
Yes.
This is another favorite of our fans.
Yeah, so this has replaced our kind of around the diamond type of thing, because we just say we're going to have all kind of news. And
Right, we will be doing Hot
stuff.
Topic. Now, MC, as I mentioned to you, there have been people that enjoy our Hot Topic debates, and we will be having them, and probably during this segment.
Yeah, it's possible. So, Doc, just to jump into some news, obviously, before we get into our official hot, cold stuff, we got Clayton Kershaw out. You mentioned it near the top of the show.
I did.
But you believe he'll be back sooner than
He's already throwing in the
anticipated?
bullpen, and my source of the Dodgers had told me he'd be out 60 days. Everyone now is saying he'll be off the DL in another 10 days and back in the rotation.
Yeah.
But they have certainly held up.
I don't think you can question this man's toughness. I
Oh,
think,
not at
like
all.
we mentioned before, just this is a man who will take the ball every 5 days. He's out.
That's right.
Regardless of that, and through this injury, this will be pretty impressive if he can't come back sooner than planned. So yeah, that's good for baseball.
It is.
Yeah. As pretty close to record time here. Aaron Hill traded. You want to tell us about that
Traded
deal?
to the Red Sox from the Brewers. Aaron's hitting .283 and having a solid year for the Brewers. Red Sox can use him, and he can play multiple positions. They gave up a couple of prospects for him, and that seems to be the deal these days.
Did
you get a
they
better
absorb
employer
his
for
entire
prospects.
contract?
They did.
There was no cash, obviously, exchange.
They did, and it's the Brewers are in a rebuilding mode. I was surprised they got him in the first place.
Yeah,
So
that's the Red Sox are making a push. They're having a pretty good year. Their offense clicking on all cylinders.
thanks to losing 2 out of 3 to the Dodgers, the Orioles have slipped a little bit.
Yeah, that's
So, and I
it
believe
might be just good under the radar move there.
I
from
believe
Sox.
this is the first of many trades we're going to see this month of veteran players.
Matt Harvey possibly looking at season-ending surgery. I know there's like a Thoriat. Yeah, I don't know if I can pronounce that condition. He's mulling it, but I think he's going to try alternative methods. So maybe a season.
I don't think the Mets are going to miss him in his 4-10 record.
Yeah,
So.
he's struggling. He's had a couple. He started to look like he was turning the corner, and since this is the Fast Pitch Fantasy League, I had him.
Right.
But his last start, he got rocked pretty good, and unfortunately I had to drop him, and it looks like that was a good move. Ryu.
Hyun-Jin Ryu from the Dodgers
returned, gave up 6 runs as we record this.
Yes, and you know what? I have
to
to ask real quickly. Do you think they rushed him back maybe a month or so ahead of time because of the Kershaw injury?
You might be right.
Because they picked up Bud Norris, who threw 6 scoreless innings, and Brandon McCarthy returned from his injury. First pitch for the first time in 2 years Sunday. 5 scoreless innings. Dodgers shut him out and win.
4 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts.
See, that's definitely not the Rue that pitched for them the last 3 years.
Kind of tough there. Wade Davis also on the DL with forearm strain.
You know, the Royals have had enough trouble winning as it is without Davis.
He hasn't even pitched. I had him on my team in the Fast Pitch Fantasy League, and it's like I couldn't even get any save. Plus, he hasn't even been getting the strikeouts he normally gets.
No, he normally is the best.
Not the same pitcher this year, but I mean, partly I think maybe that competitive edge. Not to say that's gone, but it's hard to get up to pitch when you're pitching in meaningless games, right?
Right.
And a lot of those games they're bringing them in are not safe situations because they just need to get him work.
I have one more question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did I hear that Jose Reyes is already in the major leagues with the Mets? I knew they signed him to a minor league contract.
We were talking about that, Doc, last show, that he was going to possibly sign with them, either that or that Cuban player that was potentially
and they picked Reyes?
And they did. He played third base today for him. He is his
and he hit a home run?
Back.
And he hit a home run, I heard? What does he do in the major leagues? I agree with Bryce Harper. He should be suspended for 2 years.
Arguably, he's paid is what the punishment was.
He's paid what the punishment is right now, but
gave him that punishment.
Well, Reyes belongs. First of all, he belongs in jail.
You're the executioner for this man.
You darn right I am.
He should be 2 years. He should be gone.
You're right. He should be gone 2 years.
Was he convicted though? How can you just say that?
When they made an agreement, a settlement out of court, so the charges were dropped.
Well, here's the thing, is Doc. I mean, so then you're saying that somebody who may not have been prosecuted in regular law should still serve a jail sentence, even though they weren't given that.
No, he admitted what he did wrong. That's how they made the settlement.
Well, he made a mistake just like Chapman did. Chapman served his 30 games.
It's a heck of a mistake to make, and you and I both agree on that. I'm just saying.
I'm not talking about condoning any type of behavior.
I know you're not.
But if he served what the punishment was given to him, should he not be allowed to play in the game? Now, if he does it again, Doc, I'm not saying that maybe there's a no tolerance policy, because obviously we've seen commissioners ban players from.
All right, and I have to, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about this. It isn't the penalty that I disagree. It's the punishment from the commissioner of baseball I disagree with.
So
it should have been longer.
You're probably challenging Rob Manfred.
And I like Rob
Manfred. Not just Reyes, but any of these men who had
domestic violence cases.
Yeah, these cases. And you may have a strong case on there, because in that situation, there should be zero tolerance.
Right.
I mean, I really don't believe any walk of life should be condoning this, and baseball should be setting an example.
And I'll quickly repeat what Bryce Harper said, and we talked about this on that show. He wants to be on first base when Reyes is playing shortstop and a ground ball is hit. And I believe that might be.
Yeah, and we may see that.
We may say he might not be the only one feeling that way.
He's playing third base for them right now, because maybe that'll happen from second to third.
If it was Harper, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens from second to third. But one last thing, I mentioned Harper. You and I have talked about he's become like the spokesman for Major League Baseball. A.J. Ellis told me a couple weeks ago for the second time he's all for that. Yeah. Harper speaks for the players, and they don't have to, but they agree with him. So
that's good. So, Doc, we're going to get into our regular part of this is hot and cold.
Hot and cold.
We're going to go through some hots right now as we looking at this week. Michael Saunders of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Real hot. You know, he was a Mariners prospect.
Final vote, as we had mentioned,
a Mariners prospect that just didn't perform with them.
Yeah.
Comes to Toronto, and he's killing it.
Making him probably cry now, because
not the first Mariner to
All-Star team.
Yeah, not the first Mariner to dump while he's there and then go crazy somewhere else.
Well, speaking of Blue Jays too, Josh Donaldson on fire. He's having another great week, and carrying my fantasy team, that's for sure. Roughneck Odor, he's had a great week, beating the crap out of you as you're playing.
He beats the crap out of everybody, including Jose Bautista.
Yeah.
Odor, the boxing champion of Major League.
Touche, Doctor. Nice one there. Kyle Seager turning it up pretty good for you, right?
Kyle Seager, I knew when I picked him he was going to be solid. I've had him every year I'm in the league.
Helping you try to claw back in your this week's matchup here.
It's a fight, too.
5-8, Zach, as we always try to chronicle Zach's exploits here. Zach stands, unfortunately, in last place, along with the team you're playing, the Lumberjacks. This week, Zach, he's getting some points, though, from just after midweek, and Giancarlo Stanton has already got him 31 points, so Stanton is heating up.
Stanton's gotten hot.
Definitely a hot, commodity there. And you like to bash him, but Will Myers, 20.3 points scored in our league for our good listener T-Bone. And
let's see if he has any other weeks.
T-Bone has been AWOL, so I hope he's okay.
I hope he's okay, because he is a friend of ours, a personal friend.
Shout out to T-Bone. We hope that he's be all right. Let us know, T-Bone.
Almeida Diaz has been hot also for me.
Yeah, that's another good one. Another guy who's scorching it. He's the National League starting third baseman, Chris Bryant. Excuse me.
Wow. Yes.
Cubs.
Yes.
And another one who's kind of maybe having as we're talking about Phillies, Mikael Franco having a great,
Franco, yes, he is. Why is he not on the All-Star team?
Potentially the other Philly, young player that could have made it, but
over Herrera. I'd have picked Franco any day of the week and twice on Sundays.
Though, so
well, that's true.
But
that's true.
Those are a few from our league, from this week, just to throw those out there. Cold though, Doc. I mean, I know still to get on the hot. Troy Tulowitzki is starting to turn
yes,
around.
He is. Yes,
great
he is.
Listener Hammy picked him up recently.
Hammy's made some shrewd moves this year.
Yeah, for sure, and he's storming back. But on the cold, if you had to say cold, who would you?
Going with my own team. Matt Kemp's been down. But I'm going to go with my own team for a minute.
Sure.
And I know this sounds contradictory because I'm always praising this guy, but Jake Arrieta, the last 2 or 3 starts, has got knocked out early or he's only done 5 innings. I've had a tough time with him.
He might be the All-Star game starter.
He probably will be, and deservedly so. I have become, as you know, a Jake Arrieta fan, big time, after last season.
Seemed to switch sides a lot.
But and Shelby Miller continues to struggle. We had one good game for the Diamondbacks, and down he went again.
Yeah, I mean, if we were just looking at our teams even specifically, I mean, if you're looking at for guys who might be struggling a little bit, yeah, it's hard. I mean, like pitching.
I still have Bryce Harper, and he's struggling. He's hit 18 home runs.
Pitching wise, I seem to run into pitchers who have been struggling. I know Chris Archer's still struggling.
Yeah,
I'm going to give him another shot even in the next day or two here in the start. That's tough to find good pitchers in there.
I've struggled with that.
Yeah, I think the starting pitching has been tough, and we mentioned Corey Kluber who's on the All-Star game, but he's also been knocking around. So
he's been inconsistent.
It's hard to trust a pitcher who could give up so many runs that he's getting you negative points that week. So, that's another thing that's tough. I know Polanco had been cold until the other day where he hit 2 home runs.
Yeah, he's starting to pick it up. Justin Hayward is still in the freezer.
Yeah, or Jason Hayward.
I'm sorry, Jason Hayward is still in the freezer.
Yeah, and that's tough. You try to give him a shot and pick him up, and he just
I did it, you did it.
Makes you cry. So those are colds that we kind of come out right off the top of our head and stuff too. But as we race toward, this is All-Star Game edition, obviously, so we try to accentuate the positive. So any of those All-Stars, if there are guys in your league available from his All-Star teams, you better
snap them up.
And there are some. I mean, there are guys that, in all seriousness, the doctor would say, hey, the Twins don't get a lot of fanfare. Nunez is a pretty solid
Nunez is having a good year. And Joe Mauer has flown under the radar this year, but he's at 328, and he doesn't hit a lot of home runs, but he'll give you a solid DH.
There might be a few of those guys. I mean, hopefully people have caught on to Diaz, who's really on fire for them.
If you haven't picked up Diaz, grab him.
Yeah, Piscotty, too, is another one, too. So, I mean, these guys need to be owned in your league. So, if you don't have these guys, you need to be taking a look at a nice tip for you guys. Look at the ads. If you see a percentage of the plus to a certain guy,
that's right.
Because somebody, some trend is starting with these guys. Some very smart baseball people are grabbing these. So, kind of take a look at that, and that'll give you a little edge. Doc, we're going to have to be winding this up because we've gone over the allotted time that Craig Best gives us, and we do not want him pounding on our doors.
No, I expect him here at the Best Station Studio any minute now.
He's going to be screaming. Yes. So we want to thank you all for listening. Everybody participated in the Fast Pitch Feud, and as always, we can be reached at the Fast Pitch MLB on Twitter, Facebook.com/thefastpitch. TheFastPitchMLB@gmail.com. Please give us feedback. Email it there. Do not find the doctor on social media and rattle this cage there.
Please don't.
Yes, let us know on Gmail. And as always, all of our shows are archived on thebeststation.net. Thank you again to Craig Best.
Yes.
So as we wrap up Game 29, I am your co-host, MC Brown.
I'm Eric Lenneberg, the Doctor of Baseball, and I want to thank all of you listeners. Have a great week, everyone in America and around the world who listens to us. Thank you very much.
Have a happy All-Star game, folks.
You have been listening to The Fast Pitch on the Best Station. Thank you for listening, and join us again next time.
You are listening to thebeststation.net, home of the best station, the best music for the best audience. Now featuring the best podcasts for the best audience. With such podcasts as The Fast Pitch, starring MC Brown and Dr. Eric Lenneberg, covering any and all related MLB news and current events. And now featuring The Comic Casters, starring MC Brown, Colt Hudson, and Derek Ross. On location for comic book conventions, reviewing comic book trades and collections, and anything and all related comic book movies, news, and events. This is a presentation of thebeststation.net. The best station, the best music for the best audience.
You know, it's not just down here in the valley. Arizona has musical talent spread throughout the state. In the mountains of northern Arizona, you can hear the sweet bluegrass harmonies of the Burnett family. Their high, lonesome sound has put them on the musical fast track.
Hi, we're Burnett family, and Arizona Highways, we're gonna play you some bluegrass. This is my husband, Brian. We've been married almost 30 years. This is Rachel. She's oldest. This is Jessie. She's next. And this is Ryan. He's the baby and the tallest. Started singing together, and he's always loved bluegrass. So what we did was we took him to Suzuki over at NAU, and they just start him from 3, and that's where we all began.
Basketball team with no bench, you know, so we got to put it all together, and that's kind of cool too. That's what we like about it. It is truly an American genre like jazz, you know, and it is an American-made music.
About you, but good music makes me happy. And I think that's the case for most Arizonans. And certainly, we have so much to be happy about, especially as we celebrate our musical past, present, and future. Thanks, everyone, so much for joining us. I'm Robin Sewell, and we'll see you on the next Arizona Highways.